Now, I was talking about this idea of reparations. Well, over in the UK, climate reparations. Over in the UK, the former Labour leader, Ed Miliband, I don't know if you remember him, I vaguely have a recollection of the character, and his brother, there were two of them. Anyway, Ed Miliband is suggesting that the UK must acknowledge its historical responsibility and send cash to countries hit by climate change. Anyway, let's get to the bottom of it with, as always, Esther Krakue over in London. Great to see you, Esther. How are you?
I'm great, thank you. Thank you for having me.
A pleasure, Esther. Now tell us, Ed Miliband, he's some Labour dude from the dark, distant past. He's back in the headlines demanding historical reparations. Now, tell us about the idea. This is the idea that we send money to, I don't know, Africa and for the sins of the colonial era of industrialisation, correct?
Yeah, so if you remember Ed Miliband, I always say the fact that he never became British Prime Minister is a testament that there is indeed a God. But the idea of climate reparations, or what they want to call climate compensation now, because reparations harks back at colonialism and slavery, and it makes people with a brain very uncomfortable. They're saying that because of the effects of polluting countries, we should compensate other countries that are suffering more greatly from the effects of climate change. Unfortunately, the reality is, if that was indeed the case, because of how little, in terms of sort of on the grand scheme of things, how little Britain actually contributes to global pollution, it would be the likes of China and India and Indonesia that would be doing the bulk of the paying out. Now, I don't think the CCP will take very kindly to being told to pay climate change compensation to various countries. But this is the lunacy of people like this. One, they believe that money is going to solve all problems. We should just chuck money at the problem and it will magically solve the issue. But also, they don't realize that if they actually do implement their views, it's countries like China that will have to be paying out, you know, the big bucks. And that's just not going to happen. China wasn't even at COP27. Actually, the top three of four most polluting countries weren't even present at this climate summit. So it's just completely ridiculous. It's complete lunacy. And I think the fact that, you know, someone like Ed Miliband, who wanted to be Prime Minister of this country, is saying something like this during a cost of living crisis just shows the disconnect between our political elite and average Britons. And that's what's really infuriating everyone. It's how dare you say this to us when we're barely, you know, getting by ourselves.
And Esther, well, Britain has already given £200 million in official development assistance to Pakistan, and that was in 2020, provided $26 million in humanitarian support following the deadly floods earlier this year. Do you think Rishi Sunak, will he bow in? Will he give in to the COP27? He already has given in once. He did the U-turn. He wasn't supposed to be going to COP27. Now he's there. Will he make the same mistake our former Prime Minister Scott Morrison made? And once you're there at COP20, whatever, you just give them whatever they want because you're too embarrassed not to.
I mean, he already has. He's promised £11 billion of our money to more climate initiatives, which begs the question, why are you making public spending cuts and raising our taxes if we have £11 billion to spare to this hopeless cause? But this is the thing, that no one voted for this, clearly, and no one would vote for this because it's complete madness. That public services shouldn't be in the state that it is if we have £11 billion spare to be committing to these sorts of things. But this is the frustration, because no one's asked for it, no one is approving of it, no one's voted for this, and yet our political elite keep pushing this lunacy when the real people who should be taking responsibility for climate change and global pollution are just not even at the table. They don't care. They're getting on with business. So It's just completely crazy.